Air Pollution Control Board. Can I get a call to order? Roll call.
Board Member Bennett.
Here.
Board Member Brogy. Board Member Foy. Board Member Morgan.
Here.
Board Member Parks. Here. Board Member Pollock.
Present.
Board Member Ramirez. Board Member Sharkey. Board Member Zaragoza.
Here.
Chair Long.
Here. Okay, next, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Zaragoza?
Join me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, we have our minutes for the last meeting on April 10th.
Move the approval of the minutes.
Thank you. Can I got a first and second? Any discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion has been approved. Next item is the agenda review. Does anyone have any changes, questions, comments on the agenda review? Okay. Next item is public comments. Do we have any public comments? Okay. Do we have any board comments? Seeing none?
You will next time when we come back for our meeting.
All right. Now let's move on to our regular agenda then, which is the public hearing regarding the adoption of proposed amendments to Rule 42, permit fees, and
Chair
so forth.
Long, members of the board, good afternoon. Mike Viegas, Air Pollution Control Officer. This first slide shows an excerpt from Health and Safety Code, and this gives the district's authority to assess permit fees for our programs related to permitted facilities. This next slide is the language we usually see when there's a new state mandate for air districts. Basically, it says funding is not included for the new mandate as the air district has fee authority. I want to point out that recently the air pollution control officers have been working with the state legislature, and we're actually making some headway here. And there's an item later on where you're going to see some money coming in for a new mandate related to our emission inventory. And then last month, your board authorized the receipt of $142,000 in state funding for our new AB 617 work. Programs covered by permit fees are permitting and source testing, development of the air quality management plan as it relates to stationary sources, and the emission inventory as it relates to stationary sources, rule development, as in essence all our rules apply to stationary sources, of course inspections and enforcement and overhead. I've taken somewhat of a cautious reading of Prop 26, where I worked with our prior council, and since there's supposed to be a nexus between, for a fee, the nexus between the permitted facility and the services being provided by the district, we're not using these funds for our ambient air quality monitoring program at this time. We've been working hard to reduce expenditures. When I started here, we had 64 full-time equivalents at the district. Now we're proposing to be at 49 next year. 2 of those are going to be assigned to our incentive program, so in the special revenue part of the budget. So in our operating budget, we'll have 47 full-time equivalents. 1 of them is a fixed-term software developer, and 2 are student workers that are going to be assisting with file organization and moving to the new building in the next year. Once we move into the new building, we're going to see a significant decrease in our annual operating costs, and the revenue from the existing tenants is already helping us out on the revenue side. As always, we scrutinize our costs for services and supplies, and we make sure that we run our computers for their full useful life. Same with our monitoring equipment, and we're recently just did a test purchase of a direct purchase of a vehicle for our fleet, as we found out the vast majority of districts in our size purchased directly and not through their county GSA with an eye towards cost savings. In summary, this is a very modest proposal, a 2% fee increase. CPI since the last fee increase in California was 2.9%. And I will let you know that I made the decision on this modest fee increase in January, and we have been working closely with NRG. We were aware of the Mandalay generating station being shut down. We were surprised when we heard about the Ormond Beach facility also being proposed to be shuttered. So next year I would expect to see something in the 4 or 5% range just to stay even here. We have 1,400 facilities on permit, 900 pay the minimum fee, which would increase by $12 annually to a level of $602. And this action before your board would increase our annual revenue by $49,000 a year. I'll be happy to take questions. I just want to point out we had no public attendees at the rule workshop and no public attendees at the advisory committee meeting, and the advisory committee unanimously recommended this rule action.
Well, as this is a public hearing, it is open. Do we have any public comments? Do we have any comments from our board members?
I did hear from my advisory member who said that they all supported this and they're very much in support of it, correct? Was it unanimous?
Okay, so we'll close the hearing. Can I get a motion?
Move adoption.
Okay, it's been motioned and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, wait.
Can I
Is there discussion?
Just a point of information, but I do support this, of course. Ormond Beach is also one of those once through cooling,
Yes.
and all of them in California have to be decommissioned.
Yeah,
So-
we understand that by
Right.
2020.
Right, by
We were
2020.
surprised by the proposal for
The
this
first
year,
one.
although we understand that Cal ISO hasn't bought off on that shutdown yet. So,
Okay, so
Yeah,
early
Anyway.
shutdown.
any noes? Okay, motion has been approved. Thank you for the question. Next is the read and receive and file of the new source review annual report.
New source review, this equivalency report is required by our Rule 2611, and new source review is the program, and it's been extremely effective. And it deals with new or expanding facilities in the county. Any new or replacement or modified piece of equipment must implement best available control technology, and for any facility with emissions over 5 tons per year of reactive organic compounds or nitrogen oxides, they need to provide emission reduction credits for any remaining emission increase. California law requires that when a facility banks emission reduction credits, they must be surplus. That means they exceed all requirements in the books at the time they're banked. Federal policy says these credits must be surplus at the time they're used. And that creates an interesting issue because the value of the credit in the bank is not known until it's proposed to be utilized, which creates uncertainty both for the credit holder and for the permit applicant that is proposing to utilize that credit. In light of this, several California air districts have established equivalency programs such as our Rule 2611. And as long as we demonstrate that our rule is equivalent or more stringent than the federal program, new major sources or major modifications are not subject to this federal surplus at the time of use requirement. In real world terms, how this would have worked out was with either the NRG Puente project or the Calpine Mission Rock project, they would have not been held to the requirement for credits that are surplus at the time of the use. And, the rough estimate by me is savings on that purchase of those credits would be in 6 figures range. The fact that neither one of those projects looks to be moving forward means that this cost-saving provision is going to be available for some other type of project in the future in our county. That's all I have. Yes.
Doing that. So this is a receive and file. Can I get a motion or?
Do we have to have a motion, Mike, to receive and file?
Yeah,
I know, yes.
thank you.
Okay.
So it's been first. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right, first and second. Any further discussions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion has been approved. Thank you. Next item is the adoption of a resolution authorizing the Air Pollution Control District to participate and accept funds from the California Air Resources Board.
Good afternoon, Chair Long, members of the board. My name is Tyler Harris. I'm an air quality engineer with the district. Initiated in 2018, the Funding Agricultural Replacement Measures for Emission Reduction, or FARMER program, is a new incentive program developed by the California Air Resources Board. As your board is aware, the district has been implementing the Carl Moyer program for nearly 2 decades. The FARMER program is structured in a similar manner, with the restriction that it is only available for agriculture equipment projects. Staff is requesting authorization to administer the FARMER program and accept funding from the Air Resources Board. Since this is intended to be an ongoing program, staff is also requesting that your board delegate authority to the Air Pollution Control Officer to accept funding for the FARMER program annually through fiscal year 2024 to 25. That's all I have.
All right, so there's 2 recommendations. Thank you very much. Is there any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Oh, sorry. Can I get a first on the motion? Thank you. I was already moving on. I'll take a second from Sharkey. All right, now, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion's been approved. Thank you. Next item.
In response
11.
to AB 617, the California Air Resources Board, CARB, has established the Community Air Protection Program, and they've set up a new incentive program within this. The district expects to receive about $600,000 in these additional incentive funds, and in this first year of the program, much like the FARMER program, they're going to run it through the Carl Moyer program. As your board's aware, we've been implementing the Carl Moyer program for quite some time, and we're probably the most cost-effective program in the state. And this is largely due to the abundance of agricultural equipment available for replacement and retrofit here in the county. One of the caveats here is because it's through the AB 617 program, they're expecting that 70% of these funds are going to be utilized in areas that would benefit a disadvantaged community. This probably will not pose a problem for us, just because when you look at the map of the disadvantaged communities, in many cases they're adjacent to agricultural operations, so we think we can continue working in that vein and utilize this money very cost effectively. The other thing is around the Port of Hueneme, you have another disadvantaged community and you have significant amount of diesel operations there also. We do not have to provide any match funds for these state dollars, and we're going to receive 6.25% for administration. That's all I have. I'll be happy to take questions.
Any questions? Can I get a motion to approve? Thank you. All right, it's been first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion has been approved. Thank you very much. Number 12, sorry.
Chair Long, members of the board, Ali Ghassemi, a new APCD manager for planning, rule development, and incentive programs. To provide you with a brief background, as part of AB 197 implementation, California Air Resources Board, CARB, is required the facilities to provide the emission inventory data for greenhouse gas, criteria pollutant, and toxic air contaminants available to the public and update them annually. To do so, CARB has set aside some funds for the air districts to assist them with quality check of these historical data and update them annually. As what I have before you is a request for authorization to accept these funds and perform the quality QA, QC on the point source emission inventory data for the facilities within the Ventura County Air District. Now, I'll be happy to answer any question you may have.
Any questions?
Just
Mr.
one.
Morgan.
Since we knew and we know now more about those seep holes up there that boil underneath the ground it's it's leaking into the air. How significant is that, and could that be called a point, a point resource?
Point source, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. Oh,
I'd like to see if they're going to do something,
Actually,
try to do something about that.
The seeps, both the ones out in the channel and the ones in Sulphur Mountain, they would not be seen as stationary sources because they're not man-made. They're not anthropogenic. So the other classes we have are geologic, which they would fall under, and then anthropogenic, which could be plant ROC. So these would not be caught under our inventory.
I'm just curious, because I was curious on how much comes out of those that affects our air quality, if it's significant or not. So, okay.
All right, any further questions? Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Okay, it's been motioned and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? This motion has been approved. Thank you very much. All right, next item, 14.
Before I turn this over to Tyler Harris, I think it's important to recognize his efforts here. Voluntary vessel speed reduction is one of the most cost-effective measures we have to remove NOx from the air, and NOx currently is the most important pollutant in reaching attainment of the ozone standard. And Tyler, of his own initiative, was looking for additional funding for the vessel speed reduction program, came on the CARB information for their supplemental environmental project funds, which are a result of violation settlements, and prepared the application, and lo and behold, we're going to be receiving $350,000, which should fund the program at least for a couple years.
Fantastic.
Good afternoon, Chair Long, members of the board. For 3 of the last 4 years, the district has been partner and provided funds for the Marine Vessel Speed Reduction Program, or VSR program, also known as Protecting Blue Whales and Blue Skies. Funding has been allocated from the district's Reliant Energy Mitigation Fund, which is nearly depleted.
Well, thanks.
As your board is aware, the VSR program is a very cost-effective method to reduce smog-forming emissions and without additional regulations on county businesses. In fact, it's not currently feasible to gain these reductions from the stationary sources that we regulate. California Air Resources Board Supplemental Environmental Project Policy, or SEP policy, allows emission reduction projects to be funded by a portion of penalties obtained during a settlement of enforcement actions. So in late 2016, district staff, with input from our partners, the Santa Barbara Air Pollution Control District and the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, prepared a SEP proposal and submitted it to CARB requesting funds for the VSR program. CARB approved the proposal in December of 2016, and Cal EPA added it to the list of approved SEP proposals in March of 2017. So in early 2018, during settlement negotiations, Carl Heinz Food Company chose the VSR SEP as a recipient of 50% of a $700,000 settlement for a violation of the CARB's consumer products regulation. So staff is requesting authorization to administer the VSR SEP program and accept $350,000 from Heinz to fund the VSR program. The funding comes directly from Heinz. It doesn't come through the Air Resources Board. No SEP funds will be retained by the district to cover expenses incurred, and as in previous years, much of the staff time needed to conduct the VSR program will be provided by Santa Barbara APCD and the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary staff. Consultant fees will be covered by Santa Barbara County APCD, or if necessary, the district will request authorization to use some of the remaining Reliant Energy Mitigation funds. So district staff has requested authority to expend the funds over 2 years at the discretion of district staff and in consultation with the agency partners. CARB staff has indicated there may be a possibility of additional funding, so we're requesting authority to be delegated to the Air Pollution Control Officer to accept additional funds through 2027. That's all I have. You haven't answered any questions.
Comment?
And just kudos to staff for applying for the grant. It's a great amount of money for us to put in this program, more than we have in the past. Just such a positive program. I can see why Heinz would pick it also. And I know this is one of the programs I'm going to have actually brought to our SCAG committee so that we can all hear about it, because it's such a great example. And you realize how important it is to reduce NOx, and what a huge percentage of it's coming from these ships that we don't even see for the most part. So I'm really happy that the County of Santa Barbara and their Air Pollution Board came up with this, and that we were able to partner.
Yeah, Madam Chair, she answered my question. So Santa Barbara is working with us again, right?
Yes, it's a partnership between Santa Barbara County APCD, Ventura County APCD, and the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary.
Excellent program.
And the shipping companies, is it Pacific Maritime Association?
There's I guess there is a Pacific Merchant Shipping organization, but the individual companies are who we deal with. So.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, just to review quickly, now, how much does this work out to per ship per transit?
Actually, we're in stage of kind of developing the program this year. We're considering changing it to a fleet-wide incentive, so that we would then give incentives for, depending on the percentage of their fleet that meets the requirements of under 12 knots. In the past years, we've given anywhere from about $1,000 per transit to close to $3,000 per transit. But over the development of this program, we found that the dollar amount really is not that much of an issue. It's just bringing them into the program, and then they're much more interested in the publicity of the fact that they participated and they're doing green, shipping type of.
So what we're looking at doing then is, rather than doing it per ship, doing it by the shipping companies themselves, just get a lump sum.
Right, to hopefully get more of, because if we have to, the amount of labor, now that we have this $350,000 in order to track each vessel and all that is getting prohibitive, considering the staff time that we have available. So
Right,
it's
okay.
a little, perhaps a little easier to do it on a fleet-wide basis.
Yeah, I would think so. Thank you.
And Madam Chair, and all the
Yes.
participants get a decal, right, for participating?
They get a plaque. We give them a
plaque.
plaque. We've been talking about a flag possibly, because the ships like flags because they can stick
Yes.
I know
on their deck.
When Mike and I went to D.C., we're looking at maybe having a seal or a plaque or something to put in the ships, or a
Right.
flag,
I think that's going to be maybe part of the national legislation that's being was introduced by Representative Lowenthal, and we're working on.
Lauren
Yes.
also working with us.
And that's HR 3682, I believe, that we're working on promoting to get
You wanna-
everyone to support. And I know that Mike Vegas just met with Congressman Knight on that and so forth. So we're still working on that. All right, another question?
I just propose a flag with a beautiful blue whale on it.
Absolutely.
All right.
Or humpback, they're nice too.
If there's no further questions, can I get a motion to approve as recommended? Thank you.
Second.
All right, it's been motioned and second. All in favor, say aye. Any noes? This motion has been approved. Thank you. Next item is the receive and file the audit.
Yes, our external auditor, Bavinick, Trine, Day and Company, recently completed their comprehensive audit for the Air Pollution Control District. And this is for fiscal year 16-17, ending June 30th of 2017. The first report is the comprehensive financial report, and the second is the single audit report. This audit is required annually for the Air District, as we are a recipient of a federal grant via US EPA. Once again, the audit did not find any material weaknesses in our financial systems, and I'm quite pleased with the result, and I need to thank both Nancy Mendoza and Leonie Macareg for their excellent work on our financial systems. That's all I have. I'll be happy to take questions.
Does anyone have any questions on our audit?
I do,
Yes.
just very quickly, for the record. I read the letter, the management letter, or letter to the board here. It said no significant difficulties were encountered. So my silly question is, were there any insignificant difficulties? Which don't really get reported, but just for
Yeah, I
information.
think there were some instances. We use we use a time reporting and payroll system, same as the county, Ventura County. It's VCHRP. And there have been incidents where the manager is supposed to review and all lock them, and usually on the last day of that pay period, or right before the last day, actually, by 11. And once in a while, there's been instance where someone was late, the manager was out sick, so those type of small things. And there were also some issues in just the accounting now that every year GASB comes up with another requirement and reporting the pension liability and those type of things we're going to make some changes in how we're going to report it just to make it easier for the auditor to.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussions? All right. Can I get a motion to receive and file?
Move to receive and file.
Okay, it's been motioned first and second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any noes? Motion's been approved. I receive and file of the minutes. All right, I got first, and I got a second over here. Any questions? All in favor, say aye. Any noes? All right, motion has been approved. With that is the last item of our agenda. So thank you, everyone, for coming. And if you have any questions or concerns or added items for next meeting, please let Mr. Villegas know. Do you have anything else? All right, thank you very much.